He stays on East End.
Right, and in 2 days he goes to West.
Yeah, because it's bigger there, so since he's there every day, it makes sense for him to be on the East End.
I mean, I can be able to work for a week.
But this whole thing about rapport, I think that's
I think you're going to see that once.
Yeah, I think they have a pretty core of staff.
Except for Bumpus.
ready.
Welcome to the Bill and Callie Show on WVLP LP 103.1 FM and streaming live at WVLP.org or on your TuneIn app. We are broadcasting live from the historic 1 Center Street building in beautiful Valparaiso, Indiana. The Bill and Callie Show is underwritten by Bill Moran and Callie Rosella. Now, here are Bill and Callie.
Thank you, Kelly. With us today, we have some very special guests. Not just of human nature, but we've got some canine officers from the Porter County Sheriff's Department. So we'd like to also welcome Dave Reynolds, who we asked to bring the best-looking and able-bodied members of his department, and here they are. So welcome, Dave, and welcome to our show. And
Welcome.
yeah, and thank you for arranging all this. And what we'd like to do is go around and have everyone introduce themselves, including the canine officers. So we'll start here.
Jason Prashchik with Canine Rogue.
Matt Edwards with Canine Joker.
Brian Gill with Canine Bumpus.
Jared Underhill with Canine Draco.
Doug Schaefer with Canine Fury.
Welcome, guys. And we're on Facebook Live, so our listening audience will actually be able to see the dogs. So we'll probably, the best area is probably right around that open area to showcase the officers. So why don't we start with Officer Rumpus? And let me
Bumpus.
see.
Bumpus.
Bumpus.
With a B, not an R.
Rumpus.
Not anymore.
Yeah, he's now
All
got
right.
a new nickname. Thanks. Way to go.
Now let me see. Yeah. right, so this is going to be kind of interesting. Let me see if we can get him on the camera. Do you think we could? Will he sit in a chair? Oh, there he is.
There he is. Now
There he
you can
is.
see him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the big.
There's K9 Officer
Bumpus.
Bumpus. Thank you, Kelly. And then we also have K9 Officer Rogue. Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
there.
Yeah.
There you go. I didn't want to see that big.
So let's see. Rogue is a German Shepherd. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. And then we'll get into talking about Bumpus a little bit later in his breed because it's kind of unique. He is what type of hound?
He's a Hanoverian hound.
Why don't we try to move a microphone closer? Yeah.
Hopefully Rumpus doesn't need it.
Yeah, we're going to ask them to talk a little bit later because I know they want to really get their word out. So what it means to be a K9 officer with the Sheriff's Department. So just have a couple of questions for you. First of all, these are only 2 of the K9 unit. That's correct. And there are how many?
5.
5?
5 total.
All right, so we have Rogue and Bumpus being 2. So what are the others' names?
Canine Joker, Canine Fury, and Canine Draco.
And what are their breeds?
All 3 are Belgian Malinois.
Ah, all right. So each one of these actually have a different role to play depending on their breed and what their specialty is, right? Hey.
We have 3 dual purpose, a single purpose, and then a straight trailing dog.
Ah, all right. All right, so why don't we, oh, man.
That's okay.
You know, actually, that is exactly the sound that the dogs made on Christmas Story when they're eating the
Well,
turkey.
that's true.
And we'll get into that a little bit later. So that before we go on, do you want to go ahead and get the PSAs out of the way?
PSAs out of the way real quick. All right, we've got the annual WVLP Hog Roast coming up on the 13th of July, which is a Friday from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Butterfield Pavilion. It's $20 per ticket, and children 12 and under eat free with paying adults. There is music to fill your dining experience with beauty. Catering will again be provided. Thanks, as always, to Mike Willard of House Wrap for providing that mighty hog. Dave Hemdall, longtime host of Punk Rock Radio, will orchestrate the logistics and make it a success. You can reserve your ticket by calling 219-476-9000 or writing to info@wvlp.org. We also have the Northwest Indiana African American Alliance Incorporated, Valparaiso Police Department, and the Boys and Girls Club are having a summertime celebration of unity gathering in the park. There is free food, games, and prizes, and that is on June 30th from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. at the Kirchhoff Park Schroeder Shelter, 400 Roosevelt Road, here in Valparaiso. RSVP by June 25th to NWIAAA2013@yahoo.com. And then also the 3rd annual Valparaiso Corn Roast Festival is coming up, hosted by the Valparaiso Kiwanis. It is Saturday, the 4th of August from 5 to 10 p.m. at the Central Park Plaza in Valparaiso. Live musical entertainment, all you can eat local farm fresh corn, beer garden, and food trucks. $15 in advance if you go to eventbrite.com, $20 at the door, and kids 10 and under are free.
Awesome. Thank you, Kelly. Now, Dave, let's talk about this unit and its role that it plays in the Porter County Sheriff's Department. You want to give us kind of a background and kind of the methodology for recruiting some of these?
Sure. Actually, when I came in the first time in '99, I was thinking about that before I came over. I think they really didn't have a canine unit. They had I think we had just a bloodhound. I had come from Portage, so we started a canine program there, and really there's a lot of reasons why you'd want one, and there's a lot of reasons why police departments don't have them, because number one, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of expense. A lot of departments have problems with actually the canine handlers because there's state law requiring how much you're supposed to give them for extra money and extra time, and a lot of departments just want to deal with that. And so all that was actually for me, I never really thought too much about the negative part of it. I've never really had a problem with that at all. It seems like the officers that we picked and have picked over the years understood the commitment that they have to give to the canine, to their family, and then the department. But the overall result from a crime perspective and a safety perspective, it's just a tremendous tool for our officers, for our officer safety, public safety, and how we do our job. What Matt said earlier, and I think he needs to explain a little bit so they understand what these dogs can actually do. And over the years, since 1999, when we really started this program, we've had several officers that have had canines. And it just shows you, I think, the commitment we have within the sheriff's office and how many people are committed. Because some of them can stay on for years, but the average dog lasts maybe 7, 8, 10 years, and then they keep the dog, and they normally don't. That's it for them. They move on. They've had enough, and maybe their wives have had enough with the dog. But in this case, these guys will explain to you, especially Corporal Gill. He's had a shepherd before, and now he's going. He still has a shepherd at home, retired, but now he's got Bumpus. So really, I really can't say enough about these guys. These guys really personify commitment to the profession and to our sheriff's office, and it's an honor for me to have them working for me. It's a tremendous honor.
And we'll get on to a lot of things that has been in the news, some rescues and some missing people that they help solve in crime solving. Just some questions, and excuse me if these are, but just kind of naive, if you will. But the handlers are full-blown deputies. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So they're just not dog handlers. They are deputies,
Yes.
law enforcement officials, if you will. And so, in addition to their duties, they go through the training process. You're the trainers, and which is no small duty, because of people who know dogs, training is not you train them once and it's over. You have to keep doing it. So, Gil, why don't you give us an idea of what that looks like from a officer's perspective, what you have to consider in both training and healthcare, and keeping it a healthy officer partner. Yep.
I mean, with the dog, we all
You
have
can
awesome.
come a little bit closer.
We all have awesome jobs. Everybody in this room is doing this for the right reasons, but it's a tremendous amount of work to have a successful police dog, a dog that's doing what it's supposed to be doing. I know all of us in this room, we train these dogs every single day. And
You
it's
get a little bit.
it's not
I know
something-
it's kind of difficult with
we train these.
Bumpus there, but
We train these dogs every single day. All of us, we're all very dedicated to it. We'll send each other text messages all the time. Hey, what are you doing? You want to come run a trail with me real quick? It's a 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week commitment. When we get off duty, the dog comes with us. We don't just get to drop them off on station. We all spend just about 24 hours a day with these dogs. So it's a tremendous amount of work and responsibility. But I mean, we all have the best jobs in the world. We get paid to play with the dog for 8 hours a day. You can't beat that.
Do the dogs start out somewhere else training and then you go down and continue that training with them, or do you get them from the time you start?
No, all of our dogs are from Europe. Bumpus here is from Poland.
Georgia.
Yeah, she's not from Europe.
Not Georgia and Europe, or over by Russia, but the Georgia.
All of our
Just-
dogs, with the exception of Rogue here from Europe. So they start the training very young. With Bumpus, he started actually training when he was about 4 weeks old. So he trained in Poland and then came to a breeder, a kennel here in the United States in South Carolina. And he trained from the time he came over here at about 8 weeks to the United States, and they ingrained everything into him. And then I went down and trained and learned how to handle him and read him for a week down at Georgia Canine, ironically in South Carolina.
now, if I remember correctly in reading an article about him in the Times, he came about as a result of a grant that the Sheriff's Department received.
Yep, all of our dogs are paid for with private donations and grants, so it's no cost to the taxpayers. These dogs are very expensive. A lot of people don't realize how expensive they actually are, but that comes with the training and everything that it takes to get them to be successful police dogs. So no cost to the taxpayers on any of these dogs. We have a great relationship with our vet. Val Park donates tons of services and things for us. Our food's all donated. So there's not a lot of cost. We have a great community that supports us quite well.
Is there an ongoing effort, like if someone wants to donate food or something for the dogs, is there a way of doing that?
We're always accepting donations. So you can contact the Sheriff's Department and, if you'd like to make a donation. It is expensive to keep these dogs up and going, so we'll take donations.
Are they on a grain-free diet?
Yes.
Okay, I had that because my dogs are too. I
Yeah.
heard, yeah. So they just need to contact the department if they're interested
Yep.
in donating grain-free, all grain-free folks. And a little expensive, but it keeps the dogs healthy.
Do they all have bulletproof vests that they wear when they're out working?
I think most of us have them. With the type of work that he does and the other dogs as well, when we're out on a trail looking for somebody, especially in the summer, it's pretty cumbersome and it's hot for the dogs. We'll be on a mile or two. That's not uncommon for us to go a mile at least or two. Sometimes even further, and that's a lot for the dog to carry. So it's nice to have them, the bulletproof vests for different types of stuff, but for his type of work, it's not really practical.
But you have them for all of them. There's not, you don't need anybody raising money or anything
No,
for
but
that specific purpose.
No, and there's a company that actually donates them. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but they'll actually size the dogs off. We'll send them measurements, and then they'll send the vest out
Oh,
free
that's
of charge.
great. Because I remember doing different fundraising for
Yeah.
those purposes at
Yeah.
other times.
Yeah, but you're right. There has to be a specific task. They wear that because these guys get hot in a
Yep.
normal
They're
climate,
working hard.
and
Yeah.
so putting a vest on, it's. What about the training? You mentioned that you take them out on the trails with you guys. Now, I know you guys have a fit test that you've got to do periodically to qualify. What about the canines? Is there specific benchmarks that they have to meet in order to stay on the force, or?
Yeah, once a year, they all certified through NAPAWADA. I'm certified through NAPAWADA and AMPAWADA. Once a year, we have to go down. We have to certify in all the specialties that the dogs are asked to do on the road. If they fail those tests, then they can no longer work with us.
So it's just not a fit test; it's some of their training.
No,
and
they actually have
tracking.
to actually go out, and he's got to perform what's called a blind trail, a mile and a half that's set for over an hour. He's got to find the person at the end of the trail. If he fails to do so, then he's not fit for duty. And all these guys have to certify in narcotics and aggression control and tracking and obedience. If they fail any of those specific tests.
Yeah, and you were stating that there's different dogs that have different jobs that they do. Can you explain a little bit about what those are?
Bumpus here, he's just what's called a single-purpose dog. The only thing that he does is trailing. He just finds people for us. So anybody that gets lost or criminals that flee from us, he'll come out and find them. The other dogs here, these three have what's called full patrol dogs. They do tracking. They have to qualify or certify in obedience. They do narcotics work, officer protection. They do just a little bit of everything. So that's what's called a full patrol dog. And then Lieutenant Price Jack's dog here does narcotics and tracking.
So, and also, are there any situations where they actually help with an arrest or in a dangerous situation where they're like what you would say the lead going in?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the most dangerous things we do. We're always getting called out for criminals and stuff that flee from us. With Bumpus here, he doesn't have a mean bone in his body. So
Unless he was to get snipped to death. Or
exactly.
licked to death.
He might lick you to death, but that's about all he's going to do. So in very dangerous situations, we try to take one of the full patrol dogs with us. And Bumpus will be at the lead if he's available, and then we'll have one of the aggression dogs behind us just in case things get dangerous.
So it's kind of like a canine SWAT team, if you will.
Yep, it's a group effort.
Yeah.
We all work well together.
Great.
Are any of them bomb sniffing dogs?
No.
No? Okay.
So, and with that regard, we question has to come up is, with the problems we have in Porter County with drugs, how involved are the dogs with that as far as sniffing drugs and locating drugs?
I'll let one of you guys answer that. You guys have the drug dogs.
Well, Very involved. I mean, we get called a few times a week by the departments who stop cars and they want us to come sniff the car because they have some type of reason to believe that there might be narcotics in it. Yeah, schools call us probably once a month. We go into the schools and check lockers for them. Juvenile probation and adult probation might call us to go check somebody's house, rooms and whatnot. So we're very involved in drugs and as much as we can be, I should say.
Now, do you ever just go to, and I don't know if you can, again, a lot of these questions, excuse if they seem kind of naive, but we're learning here. Do you go to events, or is that only on invitation only, like there's a festival going on?
To help out with security and stuff?
To help out with
Yes.
security?
Sometimes
or,
we'll be hired there. And, I believe coming up at the fair, we're going to be out there with our canines, helping check backpacks and stuff like that, make sure everything's on the up and up. First time we've done that for them, so we'll see how it goes. I'm sure the dogs will enjoy the entertainment. But we're called all the time to events, school events and whatnot to give assistance if need be.
Yeah, and I want to call to mind everyone, and Dave and I have talked about this on the program before, the fentanyl problem that we have, and these poor guys are exposed to the dangers, probably even more so than human handlers in that, because they will try to trace that stuff down and so on. And so do you take extra cautionary measures with the canines when they're
Oh yeah, if
involved in?
if we're performing a search and we believe it's going to be for heroin, like inside a vehicle, I wouldn't put my canine inside that vehicle to locate the heroin for me. If she alerted to the outside of the vehicle and we believe it's heroin, then there might be some precursors that give us that idea. I'm going to put her away and do the search myself because obviously her job is to sniff it out.
Right.
And as we all know, with fentanyl, it takes one little gram of that, or less, to really do some damage. And
To an
fortunately,
able-bodied human being,
Yeah.
Right.
let alone a dog.
but I
that's
can put
maybe-
gloves on and take
Right.
extra precautions. She can't do that. Luckily for us, though, if they do come across fentanyl or some type of overdose narcotic like that, our Narcans that we carry in our car will work on our canines also. So thankfully we're equipped with that also. That was donated recently by, I don't remember, was it the health department, I believe? Yep.
And is would it be a different dose than would be administered to human, or is it
Same
the same
thing. It'll be the same exact dose used for them.
So, and hopefully I've not
Hopefully
heard you've
never had to
never
do
had to do that. These poor guys have been exposed to that awful nonsense. At this point, we're going to take a real brief station break and come back. And hopefully before, just so our Facebook Live followers will know, we are going to have a little parade out here in the area. We've got a fixed camera here, so we're probably going to have them go out in that area so they can all get picked up, so we're going to take advantage of what we're seeing here today. So, Kelly?
You are listening to the Bill and Callie Show on WVLP LP 103.1 FM and streaming live at WVLP.org or on your TuneIn app. We are broadcasting live from the historic 1 Center Street building in beautiful Valparaiso, Indiana. The Bill and Callie Show is underwritten by Bill Moran and Callie Rosella. And now, back to your hosts, Bill and Callie.
Thanks, Kelly. So getting on more of what their role that they play, let's go back into an arrest and you encounter a dangerous situation. One thing I know that has happened maybe several years ago, that the legislature has actually stepped up and created a law protecting the canines and making it just as severe of a punishment as if they shot at an officer. So have you had that experience? Have people actually tried to endanger any of these guys?
My first dog, we actually charged a guy with battery to a police service dog. He broke a bone in the canine bandit's back, a hyroid bone. So out of my 2 dogs, I've only had one guy actually injure him. I had several apprehensions. I've had suspects fight with a dog, but they really don't injure the dog, so I don't charge them. But I've had the one time where they do get charged with a misdemeanor offense for battery to a police dog.
And then, of course, if they ever cause enough damage to the dog where it permanently disables them, or that is, and these are beautiful dogs. I mean, I can't wait for see him. We got a black German Shepherd here, and Bumpus he's got a good look to him, I tell you. Yeah, yeah, he is beautiful.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful. And, you know, again, give us a little bit more information about Bumpus, because, you know, again, he came from Poland, and more about his breed, because, I mean, he's got some very good skill sets for trailing.
When we originally decided to get a hound dog, because as the sheriff said, I had a German Shepherd who was a full patrol dog. I worked with him for almost 6 years. We decided to get a hound dog. We did a lot of research, Sergeant Edwards and I, and we just happened to stumble across the Hanoverian Hound. And we chose this breed because it's basically been unchanged for 500 years. This is originally bred in Germany, Hanover, Germany, to find deer. It's never been bred to be a show dog, so the life expectancy on these dogs is about 15 years. They're not prone to dysplasia or anything like that, so we wanted to get the most bang for our buck. These dogs are very rare. In Indiana, there's only one other Hanoverian Hound that I know of.
I was going to say, I've never even heard of them.
Yeah, a lot of people, because he's brindle, a lot of people think he's a pit bull hound mix, but no, he's a purebred Hanoverian Hound dog. You just don't see a whole lot of them, but the breed's been unchanged since medieval Europe.
So, and he's a trailer, of course, right? And so what you do, and it makes him different than some of the other sniffing dogs, is that you have an object that maybe the person that you're hunting down or trailing is come in contact with, and he can keep a memory of that for like up to a day or so, right?
And he won't forget the odor ever. We just recently did the Find the Sheriff event, which we did last year, and it went very, very easy this year because
So he found me.
he jumped on
Too much
jumped on
contact with the sheriff.
He remembered that odor from last year, so he was off to the races. It doesn't take much for me to get odor. All I need is a couple of skin cells, so anything on that desk that either one of you have touched, I can come back days after the fact and just take some sterile gauze, put it in a baggie, and off we go. He's going to find you and you alone.
Now, remember reading the article about him, there's been several cases of people, lost individuals, and people you're hunting down, other than criminals, just someone, I believe, that was going through dementia and just walked off.
Alzheimer's or children
And so you
that wander.
maybe give us some background on some of those?
We've had, I believe, 8 or 9 finds. We found everything from, I think we found 3 or 4 missing kids, suicidal subjects. Last month we found a guy that ran from us on a warrant service. I think the one that most people know about is we got called out to LaPorte County for an attempted murder suspect. They found his vehicle out in the field 26 hours before they called me. So they had used their dogs, LaPorte County's warrant trailing dogs, and they had the helicopter out there. They couldn't find him, so 26 hours after the fact they had called me. They did a great job with the truck. They sealed the truck up as evidence and towed it back to their garage, and I was able just to take some sterile gauze, swipe the seat, and they took me out to where his truck was found. And 26 hours after the fact, we found him hiding in a hole about 200 or 300 yards from the field. He's looking at attempted murder charges right now.
Wow.
Again, another valuable
Good
service
job,
that you have.
Marcus.
Yes. Yeah. So, what type of accommodations does he get for some of these things? Just a treat, surely.
He's working just basically to make me happy. He gets a little ball at the end. I'm sure you guys can notice. I'm not sure if your viewers can, but the Rogue over here has a ball that Bumpus is pretty fixated with.
Yeah, there's some
little jealousy
growling
going on.
there.
It's the same with all these dogs. It's just a big game to them. It's fun for them. It's what they were bred to do. Whether they're finding drugs or they're just playing a game. Like you were playing tug of war with your dog at home. It's just life's a party for them.
Now, when they're
Yeah.
home, is it just having fun with them, or?
Yeah, with him, you'd never know. I mean, looking at him anyway, you'd never know he was a police dog. But if you came to my house, you'd probably find him sleeping on the floor somewhere. He sleeps about 22 hours a day. Yeah, he's a lazy.
I want that job.
Some of our informants from the sheriff's department have informed us that he's quite a character in the department.
Yeah, he gets himself in a little trouble. He likes to run around the station and go into people's offices. He knows who has the dog treats in their offices, and I let him off leash. He goes straight to Jordina's office, the sheriff's assistant, because she always has treats for him. And So he'll make his rounds. He goes to the offices that have treats for him first, and yeah, he definitely he's definitely a handful on station.
Yeah, well, good character to have around, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, so, gosh, with these guys, the sheriff's department is well protected, I would say. So, you got some active duty, some German Shepherds, or what are they called? They're kind of like related to the German Shepherds.
Belgian
but
Malinois?
Yes, yeah, and they look like German Shepherds, but they're a little bit leaner, their legs are a little bit longer.
They're a little more high energy.
High energy. Yeah.
Better words. They look a little different than the German Shepherds. They look more like a small coyote, but the energy level, and they work longer than a typical German Shepherd would work. My guy's already been working 7.5 years, and the most we've ever got out of a dog was 7 years. So he's already above and beyond the average. And most departments only get 5 to 6 years out of their dog. We recently switched over to going to Belgian Malinois. We still leave it up to the handler what they want, but the last couple guys have went with the Belgian Malinois just because they're lighter, smaller. They can jump over 6-foot fences without the help of the handler. So they're just geared more towards police work, but they're a lot more. They're not as user friendly as a German Shepherd. They're not as push button.
I saw a YouTube video with one of them that was trained to disarm an individual in a car, and he literally jumped through the window of a car. And I think the guy, and this is just the training exercise, is so shocked in a moving car that this dog caught up to the car and jumped through the window and disarmed him. It just, so I've heard about that breed before, and they're kind of like a cousin to the German Shepherd. Look like a German Shepherd, but smaller and more mobile.
And all 3 of our dogs can do all the same thing. Joker actually had apprehension just like that. A guy with a gun, we didn't know it was a toy gun, but had a gun. I sent him from about 20 yards back, and he ran right through, jumped through a window, and apprehended the guy, and diffused the situation very quickly. But we train all different scenarios, going through windows, jumping through cars, jumping on top of cars, jumping in the bed of trucks. That way when the dog first comes across it in real life, he's seen that scenario, and he knows how to react. So a lot of it is on the handlers of exposing that type of training to the dogs, so they're familiar when they see it in real life.
So you ever get a perp that sees these dogs and just asks for the handcuffs immediately?
Years ago when we first got dogs and the county people weren't really familiar with our bite dogs and stuff like that, we used to have a lot more guys flee everything. But in the years past, people see the dogs anymore, and I'm very proud of these guys and the past guys that were part of this unit. We've had one of the most successful apprehension dog canine unit in the whole county, and that was from their hard work. And I think that's got out, and when people see our dogs now, or they see that the dog's approaching them, a lot of them will just give up. They don't want to mess with it. Even my dog's only 55 pounds, and he makes a grown man cry.
I believe it. So it's one thing that, going back to the department, sheriff's department as a whole, that you have several departments, I guess, that are used quite aptly throughout the area. The bomb squad, they've been on the TV with the bomb incident in East Chicago, and do you guys are often called outside the county, maybe because of special skill sets by the dogs?
So a lot of departments in this area just have dogs, a lot of dogs. So we used to get a little more assist to other jurisdictions, but now with Hobart, Lake County, LaPorte County, Valpo, we mainly only get called to help other jurisdictions in the county. But there's those rare occasions that maybe Hobart doesn't have a dog working, they had someone run or something that they'll call us. Or, Bumpus is a big thing around here because of what he does. There's other hound dogs, but he's the only one that he does. And he's very successful. A lot of people will piggyback off that knowing that his success rate. So he probably gets a lot of outside jurisdiction help, outside the county. We do a lot more of in county jurisdiction help.
Oh boy, yeah, they're just like kids sometimes.
Oh yeah, they're kind of worse than a 3-year-old.
So yeah, and that calls back is that you guys, you take these home, keep these guys home, and they interact with your other dogs. So how does that go? I mean, you've got other dogs at home, or maybe is it the only one?
Every handler I'm in charge of the unit, and all I really care about is when they bring the dogs to work and that they work. So some dogs, like my dog, goes home and he lives in his kennel, doesn't have much interaction with my family or my other dog, because I keep him in work mode for him. I think someone else, Officer Underhill, he kind of.
I do kind of a mix. Draco
There you
is
step a little bit closer to the mic here. There you go.
Push it.
kind of similar to Sergeant Edwards. Draco has his kennel
There you go.
in my basement. So for the most part, he's down there, and that keeps him in work mode. I do have another personal dog at home. He's a shepherd mix, and luckily Draco and that dog get along. So I am able to put them outside in my fenced-in yard, and they play together frequently. But as soon as he comes back inside, it's back down to his kennel.
And why don't we get back to the rock star over there of Porter County Canine Unit, Bumpus, and talk about
Rumpus works.
Yeah, I'm sorry, guy. He's looking at me, giving me the side eye. Yeah.
Wasn't
He's
Rick
bad
on
with names
Yeah.
anyway.
Gus,
so
Why
that's
don't you tell us a bit about the
Gus
name, even though
It's Coda.
some listeners out there probably recognize the name, how he came to get his name.
Well, his name originally was Coda. At the time, I had a Coda, so I wanted to change his name. And my daughter's a huge fan of The Christmas Story. She loves that movie, and I'm sure everybody's familiar with the Bumpus Hound. So once she found out we were getting a hound dog, she's like, "Daddy, you got to name it Bumpus." I'm like, that sounds great. And,
That's perfect.
everybody made fun of me, and nobody liked it.
Oh, I think it's
I think it's great.
brilliant.
Yeah. Now, has he ever acted like those dogs in Christmas Story, where he's torn up the
He
Thanksgiving
gets
dinner?
himself in trouble. Actually, he did do that last Christmas. I've got the photos to prove it.
So did you go to Chinese for the meal that day?
No, I don't think we ended up doing that. But
Yeah. So and there's another story that I read about him. He's quite popular, actually. It's about him taking some stuffed animals and kind of hoarding the stuffed animals.
yeah, I think he's kind of picked that up. We have another dog at home. I've got 3 altogether. But I've got a German Shepherd Lab mix, and my Shepherd, my retired Shepherd, are fixated with my dog's stuffed or my daughter's stuffed animals. So I took a nap on the couch, and they bring me toys, and if I don't throw them right away, they just move on to the next one. So I woke up after my 45-minute nap, and I had about 30 stuffed animals on my chest, and all 3 dogs just sitting there wagging their tails, looking at me like, "When are you going to throw one of these things?"
But you know what? These guys are getting kind of restless. Why don't we kind of let our viewers see them? I'm going to kind of move the camera around, but the best spot is probably back there. So just
No, you don't like that?
Okay, Bumpus is the one to the right, and Rogue is the black German Shepherd to the left. Beautiful dogs, absolutely beautiful. And they're being dogs right now.
Yeah, these 2 get along really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that-
can tell
yeah.
they were kind of kissing each other outside earlier and playing. They're beautiful.
Definitely are.
So how many of the officers have children that the dogs interact with?
I've got 2 kids.
4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. So they get along fine with the kids at home too, and no issues.
They kind of know when they're at home, they're not in work mode, and they know there's a pecking order at home also, that if one stepped out of line, there'd be a repercussion. So they're not going to mess with a family member for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah, so I keep on hearing that work mode. So, I mean, it's not really isolation though, but you have to keep them to the point, I mean, obviously they're allowed to play at some time, right? Or,
Yeah, I mean, a dog's a dog, so they're going to play. However, if you bring your dog home and you fully bring them into the house and you start treating them as a pet, and he starts sleeping on the couch or starts, eating off food table, well then he may seem to think he likes that lifestyle better than going to work. So you got to keep him kind of where he knows his primary job is work mode, it's not pet mode. So for Joker, that's what we do with him. So you got to just fine tune, years ago we had Dolar. You know, he started liking the good life a little too much at home. So Corporal Gill had to go back and put him back into living more out of his crate to get him back into that mode. Because for the amount of money that we spend, we don't want to ruin the dog and go
So
from
they don't
that.
go home and do like a Netflix weekend where they just sit on the couch eating
and do
popcorn
binge
and
watching.
Mine
yeah,
does.
okay.
Road money.
Road
Road
does.
So, but they do retire at some point, and then they get to
Yeah,
live
then they get to live the dog's
dog's
life.
life.
Yeah, of course.
Great.
And I don't know if it was brought up, but like this dog here, Bumpus, was the sheriff's department paid about $17,000. So we don't want to take something that expensive and ruin it. Or Rogue was probably about $7,000,
Wow.
and the other dogs nowadays they're about $13,000 to $14,000. So I'm sure the sheriff would be very happy if we ruined a $14,000 dog.
Yeah, that's.
So we just kind of keep them in that mode. And for the most part, the 3 Belgian Malinois will probably never go out of that mode just because of how hyper they are.
Yeah.
But that's just where we're at.
And even with my shepherd at home, he doesn't. My retired shepherd at home, he still doesn't really like to be in the house. He'll come in and sniff around a little bit, but he wants right back outside. That's what he's known for the last 7-8 years. So that's what he's become accustomed to. So he'll come in, say hi, and then he's back out in the garage. So that's where he likes to be.
Garage is cleaner.
Yeah.
Well, I know with the Belgium and the German Shepherds, they tend to be a little anxious and a little more energetic. How do you incorporate that training? And I know with my German Shepherd, we have to socialize them, even though it didn't work out very well. I mean, you constantly have to socialize them so you know how to behave. And yeah, because other than that went really bad. How do you still do that and are able to, incorporate them into like not being anxious around people?
So when we test a dog, we pick a dog. I don't look for the sociability of it. If the dog's social with other dogs and other people, that's great. But if it's not, that's not something that we push into the dog. We'll do the obedience because obviously we want the dog to be obedient to the handler. But if we have a dog that's aggressive towards people and just doesn't like people, that's fine because that dog's going to be a more alpha dog, and when you let the dog go, he's going to do his job. So we don't push anything on the dog because you're just putting more stress on the dog. Bumpus, he only has to worry about one thing, trailing. Rogue only worries about 2 things, but the other 3 dogs, they've been taught 5 to 6 other areas. So I'm not going to stress the dog out with socialization. If they can, that's great. Like Fury, she does all right. Draco doesn't like smaller children or anything, and Joker he has a crazy eye, so we just kind of keep him away from people if we can. So socialization is a plus if you can. Now Joker doesn't really like other people, but he gets along with other dogs. So that's a great benefit for if you're tracking. My dog's not going to get distracted because he wants to go fight this other dog. He's going to stay on task. But the socialization, if we can work it with a dog, we will. But it's not something that we push upon the dog to stress him out.
Right. I mean, that's got to be kind of counterproductive, actually, within as you call him, his job mode. And so, yeah, I could see that. So with that, are you planning on expanding the department, or are there any other new? Oh, yeah, there's a smile there.
I think when the sheriff first took it over, there was always 4 dogs.
Yeah.
And they do the money and how much they cost to buying the dogs before we really got a bunch of donations. At one time we went down to 1. We hold fast, I think, probably at the 5. Unless the sheriff, I don't see a need to expand upon it. We've got everything covered from a great trailing dog to a dog that if we just need to go work, dope work there, and then we got the three dual purpose dogs. For our size department, there's no need that we need anything more than 5 dogs.
Right. Great. Sheriff, do you want to add anything to this before we start closing up the show?
No, I just think, just to reiterate what everyone's saying, people need to understand what a benefit this is for the community to have the dogs. I mean, we patrol. We have 90,000 people, almost 90,000 in unincorporated areas. Plus, we overhear, what's going on in Portage or Valpole. But we're up, south of the river. I mean, south of Hebron to the river, all the way up to the Pines on Route 12 and 20. And oftentimes, it's a little different in the city, where our guys are pulling over cars and they're by themselves. And it's nice to and just the benefit to have a dog in your car as your partner for your protection. I mean, you just can't understate how important that is, and it's just a benefit all along. And I just want to just kind of reconfirm the fact that these guys train, like they said, every day. I mean, they train every day, and when they're compensated to an extent, but they really don't get compensated for the time they actually really put in. And I, just we don't. I'm always in a situation where we're all together. But it's just an honor to have this type of commitment with our size of our department. Because if you go to most departments, our size, they don't have this. So it's a good thing for the whole county.
It's great. Yeah, and these are beautiful looking dogs. And is there anywhere where people can go to see pictures of these guys? Or
They're all on the website,
Right.
the Porter County Sheriff's website.
well, I think we're going to give even a bigger opportunity for people to see pictures of these guys, because Kelly and I discussed a little competition we'd like to open up within the department. Over the next 30 days, what we like for all the canine officers to do is take selfies with their partners and send them in to us. Megan, myself, and Kelly will judge them, and the sheriff's show is next month at this time, and we'll announce the winner, and the winner will receive a treat bag from Pets Plus.
Do you want to just give that to me now, or
You know,
wait till I steal Bumpus and I take
Bumpus he's got a paw up already. Okay, it's just and you look at that face, but all kidding aside, we'd love to do this for you guys, and we'll have a couple of prizes available. So, but if you guys do that, and just get us, I'll get you the information. I'll give you one of the cards before you leave. And with that, I think we'll just close up a little bit early. And gosh, we can't thank you all enough for, because there's a lot of departments. I think that's the whole idea of bringing the sheriff on once a month, and to kind of highlight each department and let folks know out there what you all do and what valuable service that you've done. And I think Porter County residents need to really know that we have one of the best sheriff departments in the state, if not the U.S. The amazing things, the bomb squad, and we're having to tackle a huge amount of problems that some other counties are not faced with. So again, hats off to you, Sheriff, and hats off to all of your deputies for the job line well done. And with that, we'll close out the show. Kelly, do you want to talk about some of the guests that we're going to have?
I just wanted to mention that tonight at Wild Rose Brewery for our Bill and Callie show, we will be having Mariah Carey Pleasant on, and she is a couples mediation counselor. So come on out to Wild Rose Brewery in Griffith, or tune in at 7 p.m. for that. Tomorrow, our show from SIP2 at 1 p.m. we will have Speros Badastados, I believe is how you say his last name, and he is the
you
president.
make fun of me.
Badastados. I
That's a
didn't
hard
butcher
one.
it near as badly as you would have. He
That's
is the
true.
president and CEO of the Indiana South Shore Convention and Visitors Authority, so we will be speaking with him tomorrow. And then also, for closing, I will just let you know that you've been listening to the Bill and Callie Show on WVLP LP 103.1 FM here, and streaming live at WVLP.org or on your TuneIn app. Broadcast live from the historic 1 Center Street building in beautiful Valparaiso, Indiana. The Bill and Callie Show is underwritten by Bill Moran and Callie Rosala. This show will be rebroadcast on Saturday at 6 p.m. on WVLP. The Bill Moran Show and Callie and Bill Show is podcast and available on iTunes and YouTube. And have a wonderful week.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Appreciate
good
it.
job.
Yeah.
Now the boss says get back to work.